Hello and welcome to From the Be All End, the Burnley podcast. This is the rapid reaction for Brentford 3, Burnley 1. You can tell with the tone of voice, it was another one of those days. Chris Boden and Darren Bentley joining us to pick through the bones of this one. This could be the quickest, rapidest reaction. Um, Fair to say, a fairly shambolic final 15, 16 minutes, Chris.
So it was a poor second 45 minutes, wasn't it? I don't know what, you know, Brentford raised the tempo, but we seemed to start second half so poorly. We seemed to end second half poorly, and the middle part of the second half we seemed to perform poorly in as well. So we just, you're expecting them to come on strong, and they are. They're direct. They've got pace. They do have threats. Across that front line. Damsgaard's a super little player, as we saw in the last before €1. But it's as soon as you get back level, with the Fleming penalty, you're thinking, right, okay, we hold on to what we have here, and we make sure we go away with a point, which in the scheme of things would have been a very useful point, and then just just carve through us again. How can the shape be so disorganised at that stage of the game? We've got defenders diving in, midfield's vacated again, and you give away two soft goals to sum up another depressing afternoon, and the writing's on the wall. 4 defeats in 4. You're looking at it. You imagine Palace will come to Burnley on Wednesday and win, and then you're at Newcastle, and it's looking like we knew it'd be a tough task, but we are not good enough. We don't have enough going forward. We're defensively, we're porous. As well organised as we were in the Championship, it's just another level, and we are simply not good enough.
Daz, do you agree with that? Simply not good enough. I mean, I didn't think much of Brentford that first half, but unlike us, a lot of teams we play, West Ham would have said, they seem to be able to kind of go, right, let's get out of this funk, let's find the second gear, let's try and move through the gears. We just seem to have one gear, and is Chris right? That gear just isn't good enough.
The second half was as bad as we've been. I think it was like watching it. The number of short passes we gave away, it was like passing through treacle at times, and it was just a painful watch. And as Chris talked about the defence, we're porous in defence and we're not great in attack. We're not great in midfield either. It's all right doing little 5-6 yard passes square and little 5 and 6 yard passes forward into a player who's got a player up his arse, but we just don't have any creativity in that midfield to get ourselves up the pitch. That second half, honestly, we never got in there half, did we? Until we suddenly decided to come alive after they'd taken the lead. There's a sense of inevitability about it all week in, week out at the minute, in that we're competitive, we're neat, we're tidy, but we're nothing more. And then you're almost waiting for the goal to be conceded. The penalty, there's a debate whether he got a touch or not, but at the end of the day, they've scored 3 goals again. That's 19 in the last 8. 19 goals in 8 games. We're conceding 2.5 goals a game. I touched on the fact that we need to score 2 goals to get a win. We need 3 goals to get a win at the minute. And we just don't look like we've got goals in us. 4 even.
I will say, talk about Henderson's much maligned, but that sort of ability to play that, and he's a better footballer than Ashley Westwood's ever been, but that type of player who can just literally just whip a ball in behind, over the top, with pace, with quality, and I love to see that still has a place in the current game, and we're just getting. Like I say, I'm listening to the commentary for the second goal, and he's right. As soon as it goes into Henderson, surely Kyle Walker's played enough times with him in the white shirt of England. He knows what's happening. There's no debate. This is coming into the box now, and he's asleep. He lets Henry sort of steal a march on him. He almost wants a foul. Then he sort of arcs his back and he thinks, well, I'll make it look like Henry's gone over the top of me and pushed me to the ground. It's never a foul in a million years, and Thiago gets a bit of a deflection, but it's just Walker's one of our most experienced. I've sung his praises, praise him to the hilt all season. He's been terrific, and it must be difficult for him because he's in a side that's barely winning from coming from a club where they won everything every week, and that's a shift in mentality. But he's made a big rick there for the second. You think back to the West Ham game where Dubravka again, who's been magnificent, but at West Ham cost us with two huge ricks, and it's when the young lads need a little bit of help in these away games in particular, our real experience has cost us, and that's clearly not a help.
But Chris, what I would say is we're going to concede goals if we don't get ourselves up the pitch because we're not releasing any pressure valves at all. All we're doing is adding the pressure into the cooker pot all the time because we can't get out. Every other side in the league, and you can go right down to Wolves probably, maybe Leeds as well, are a bit shambolic, but has got an attacking threat. We don't have an attacking threat, and we don't have creativity, and therefore your defence is going to come under pressure, and it's going to creak, and they're going to create chances, and eventually the dam's going to burst, and that's happening on a weekly basis at the minute.
Yeah. One of the other stats that was thrown up on the TV coverage is not just however 19 in the last 8 games, Daz, but 10 goals in the final 15 minutes. Now, if you're conceding 10 goals in the final 15 minutes, the chances are they're either going to be nicking a point off you or they're going to be pushing a team into a lead. That's also unsustainable, isn't it? Is that a fitness thing? Is it a concentration levels? Is it a system? We've often criticised Parker for his substitutions coming too late, but he kind of rolled the dice a couple of times, or rolled the dice 3 times really with that kind of triple sub. What is it? Why are we conceding goals late on? Because you concede early. I know this is teach everyone out. It's okay. You've got time to get back in again. We conceded the latest, got back in the game, then conceded 2 further goals. What is the issue? Is it fitness? Is it lack of concentration? Is it do we have that 11 that they set up with, but we work on that all week and we suddenly get disorganised when any new bodies come into that? What do you think, Gaz, is the issue?
I honestly, lack of concentration would be my guess, but it's hard to know where it lies, really. You've got opponents who turn the screw a little bit in the last 15 minutes as well, but I just come back to that pressure valve. We don't release the pressure. Eventually, a pressure cooker is going to blow. And that's going to blow late in the day. And that's what happens at the minute. I actually thought Hannibal was a strange substitution today. I thought Hannibal, for his despite his dive earlier on, his ridiculous dive, thought he was okay. And again, he brings an energy to that midfield that when he's not there, we haven't got. And I thought that was a strange substitution for me. And the left-hand side, we can touch on the left-hand side, taking Anthony out was the right call, without question of a doubt. But the left-hand side was a barren wasteland until he came on. Nothing came down the left-hand side at all. We never saw Hartman get past the halfway line. So, that causes its own problem in that he's not playing well enough to play, but you take him out and it's even worse. So, I don't know. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, like we say, he's changed the system, changed the personnel, but I want to see Edwards. I know people think he's a bit lightweight at this level and this, but he's someone who can protect a football, beat 2 or 3 men with a football, and he's got that creativity. He can play a little give and go. He can beat players, and I just don't see the reluctance to use him when you've got Brun Larson. He might as well play the sport in bloody slow motion. It just everything slows when he's on. Chuana, who's game, he works hard. Does he offer does he beat players? Does he whip great balls in? Unless he's unleashing a thunder bastard, I don't know what you get from him. I say I like Anthony, but the time was right to make that change. And Foster, well, he didn't really play down the left, did he? He was through the middle for the most part. He almost vacated, that side of things. Played almost like a narrow 3 with Hannibal trying to occupy, play from in to out. on either side. But yeah, Hannibal was he was a loss, but you expect Hugo Chukwu to give you that bit of energy, a bit of quality, and an aerial threat from set plays, which you completely out your depth in those areas against a huge Brentford side. Where again, you're like, why have we got Florentino who's struggling to track players up against Nathan Collins? I mean, Collins should have punished us first half in that respect. But yeah, I don't know. You look at go back to that Hannibal, the dive that I just can't. That's the modern footballer to me to a T, where he preempts contact and goes over rather than actually just play the situation, chop back in. If you beat him, you get your shot away. If he clips you, it's a penalty. Don't anticipate. If he clips you, he clips you. But don't be
He
throwing yourself on the deck.
changes his foot shape, doesn't he? This is what really, it's a bit like, and a goal at that point, Daz, sets a different tone to the game, doesn't it? Because they've had a couple of chances at that point. Not Dubravka's had nothing to do. We've always said, and Chris has said this a few times, and it's worked. Sunderland leads, get your noses in front. You'd back us to protect something. We're not really good at protecting 0-0s. We're quite good at protecting going 1-up, or we certainly were in that start of the season against Sunderland and Leeds. But Hannibal, and I'm sure the guys on the debrief for Monday will go into Hannibal a bit more because, at the time I was ready for, ripping his contract up. But a goal then, Daz, if he takes that on and we score, that changes the game, doesn't it? Because, as they kept saying on commentary, the G-Tech was really flat. They go a goal behind and it goes even flatter.
Yeah.
Can you get your head around Hannibal choosing to do that rather than thinking?
I actually felt he could hit it first time. I thought he took a touch unnecessarily, to be honest. And if you look back again, I think he might slightly have overhit that when he takes it round the defender. He might just have slightly overhit it. And the instant thought then is I'm going to go down. But again, I'll come back to it. There are cameras everywhere. You're not going to get away with it in the box. I mean, we'll query the other penalty all we want because there's some argument whether he did get a touch or not. But he's had to go through the back of two defenders to get there, and that means he's out of position in the first place. And the two centre-backs are complicit in all this for me. As much as we praise Estev, and as much as Twanzebe has come into the side and looked okay isn't good enough in the Premier League. And those two centre-backs are complicit. They switch off at key moments. All you need to do, that second, the penalty is criminal. Because if you've got your line there, they don't have that pass through you. The third goal's even worse. Twanzebe goes up into midfield and tries to press in midfield. And they just played in behind him. So the two centre-backs are really complicit in this. And it's not a good recipe, is it? As you talked about the 3/3 of the second half earlier on, Chris, the first half of the second half were poor. But the 3/3 of the pitch were poor. We're not great at the back. We're not good in the middle. And we can't score goals. And that's why we're going down.
I'm glad you mentioned Estev there because I always feel like you can't criticise Estev because he's like a bit like Florentino. I think Estev.
He's having a tough season.
He did. I will say, and my youngest loves it. Let's say the amount of times when you can hear the away fans today, Steve, and that's when he's made a good contribution. He's made a hell of a lot of good contributions today, but he's making errors. If you can be as good as you like, but if you make one slip as a centre half in a game, especially at this level, the likelihood is it's back of your net. You just can't. You can't do it. But he's doing it, on a more. I mean, he's a young lad. I mean, people remember he came into the side in the Premier League when we were relegated, and it almost felt like it was a free hit that second half of the season to me, anyway. And he slotted in. He improved us, and then he was, head and shoulders above anything else in the Championship. So he's had a nice little period of 18 months there, getting to know the English football, and then he's having a bit of a sticky time. But I will say to him, he doesn't hide.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
I think he's got a super mentality about him. He has got ability. And I don't think we've anything better than him. So you just persevere with him, yeah.
I think what we do need to do, I think we need to find somebody to. Like I say, I'm not convinced by Tuanzebe at all. You know, I know he's had his fitness issues. I know there's the ongoing thing with United, which kind of blew up, and just quite how much he struggles. I think at times with pain and things, but I'm just not convinced. But you're looking at, you know, I like Ekdal, but in the Premier League, you know,
Too slow.
okay. Worrell got loads of experience, but again,
far too slow.
just in the Premier League, it's kind of, you know, and kind of final point before we end, because you know we'll leave something on the table for the debrief points. But I mean, you look at kind of Thiago up front for them, and I know he had a bit of a, you know, the season that perhaps Breuer is going to have this season for us, and you know Breuer might next season be an absolute world beater. But there are strikers out there, isn't there, Daz, which you just need to kind of take a chance on, and it always feels like the likes of Brentford and Wolves in the past and Brighton have just taken the chance on better attacking options, haven't they, than we have, and we've probably been crying out for a proper striker for, well, certainly since Company was here, and we didn't, you know, re-sign Nathan Teller and all these goals. It's the conundrum that needs fixing, Gaz, into in January. This
Yeah, well, we're going over old ground, aren't we? We took a gamble on Breuer, and I don't know who those strikers are that are out there. We touched on Vardy last week, for instance, but it's not my job to know that. It's a recruitment team to know that, and it's Alan Pacey's job to put the money on the table to go and get them. They need to do something drastic in January, or we'll be cut adrift by definitely time the spring comes. No doubt about it, because we can't keep conceding 2.5 goals a game and looking inept at the other end of the pitch. And you're right, Chris, Palace will come on Wednesday. They'll be strong. They'll be good. You know, we might get a point. Then we go Newcastle. We'll get beat at Newcastle. And that's not being negative. That's being realistic. And then suddenly what's that? We're already on 6 defeats in 7. So you then go into a Christmas period. And now the team are going out there, and you get to that situation where there can be a lack of belief in the team that no matter what we do today, it's not going to be enough. And we come back to, we come full circle. It's inevitable. It feels inevitable.
But so you look at those, I mean, Thiago's he's had a season where he's had Vissa there, he's had Mbuemo there, he's had a bedding in season, Thiago. And if you look at we had remarkable success over the last 15 years with centre forwards, where you know you've had like Patterson, you've gone up, you've signed Fletcher. Fletcher's done brilliant. You've gone down, you've signed Iwelumo, who, you know, not really a success, but scored a reasonable amount of goals. Gave Jay a chance to sort of bed in. Jay beds in. You know, Volksy beds in. Ingsy has an injury and gets a chance to bed in. Austin has half a season bedding in, and then, you know, blah 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 blah. You go down the line. Not all of them jumped in the side and were instant hits. Yeah, but we're in that predicament now. We need a forward to come in and score. And give him his due. Again, Fleming, not a lot's fallen for him today. He's kept going, and he's up against Kelleher. Can be quite an intimidating goalkeeper to face. They're saying on comms that he's won 4 penalty shootouts with Liverpool. He's got ability. You know, and even if he does dive the right way, Fleming beats him. It's right in the corner. So I think he's one he's showing us he can perform at this level with the service. So it's, you know, maybe maybe he needs a partner, you know, someone to help him out. I'm really pleased with how he's adapted to the chance he's had so far.
Yeah, he's feeding on scraps, isn't he? And he's been all right.
Yeah, I think Fleming has been a positive again today, and his penalty, actually, superb penalty. We will leave it there. Hopefully this isn't going to ruin your Saturday nights too much. There's some dance show on TV and some other shouts on the other channel. A bit more football. So we'll be back with a proper debrief where I'm sure we'll go into all of the various connotations of what Wednesday brings, etc. But until then, try and enjoy your weekend. And until the next time, we'll see you with the Clarets.